The fog draped the forest like a ghostly veil, each tendril curling around gnarled trees that loomed like sentinels of some long-forgotten nightmare. Clara had lost her way, the path swallowed by darkness as the sun dipped below the horizon. She had come seeking solace, an escape from the whispers that crowded her mind in the real world. But solitude here felt like an invitation to madness. As she wandered, the air thickened, her breath visible in the chill, and the woods seemed to breathe with her, rustling leaves mimicking half-heard words. Clara paused to listen, the sound coiling around her with malicious intent. "Leave," it hissed, over and over, draped in the rustling of wind through branches, each call more desperate than the last. Then she saw it, a shape, obscured in the mist, darting between the trees like a flickering shadow. Heart pounding, she followed, curiosity mingling with dread, until she stumbled upon an ancient structure, a crumbling chapel swallowed by the earth. Its doors hung at odd angles, inviting yet foreboding. Inside, time seemed to warp. Sunlight faded to a sickly glow, illuminating splintered pews and an altar dusted with forgotten relics. But as she stepped deeper, a soft humming drifted through the air, a lullaby that was both soothing and horrifying. She traced the sound to a figure cloaked in shadows at the altar. He was singing to something that writhed, cloaked and dark beneath a cloth. Clara leaned closer, heart racing, curiosity pulling her in. The figure turned, revealing a face that twisted and morphed, an ever-shifting mask of despair. "Join us," he crooned, the voice echoing with pain, bouncing off the cracked walls. "You don't have to be alone anymore." The wave of despair washed over her, heavy and suffocating, pressing down until her knees buckled. "Stay with us," he sang, the darkness beneath the cloth beginning to writhe, tendrils reaching outward like desperate fingers. And then she understood. The singing was a binding, drawing her in, pulling her away from the light. Clara stumbled back, but the shadows danced around her like lovers, whispering promises of warmth and belonging. With every heartbeat, the chapel's airy stillness turned into a cacophony of pleading voices. And just as it felt like she would succumb, she turned to flee, to escape the madness of longing that threatened to consume her. Yet, she was not alone. As she raced back into the forest, the shadows followed, shifting in and out of her periphery. Their whispers turned to gnashing cries, echoing her name, driving her deeper into the labyrinth of trees. The path disappeared, and with every frantic step, the world, her world, seemed to dissolve around her. Finally, breathless and trembling, she burst through the tree line, back into the fading light. But as the twilight engulfed her, she froze, staring in horror at her surroundings. It was all wrong. The familiar lines of her neighborhood stood twisted and deformed under the thick fog. Every house a grotesque replica of what should be. And in the distance, she could hear it. A melody, soft yet taunting, drifting in the air, echoing her name in a tone both familiar and alien. The shadows had come home with her, their whispers now an intimate chorus in her mind. The sense of belonging they promised was all she desired, but it was a belonging to an unseen horror that tightened its grip, binding her irrevocably to the dark. Clara was never meant to leave the forest. She was always meant to join the choir.